Please accept that. Hello, everyone. Hello, my dear friends from different, communities and, but all together here because we love storytelling. We love our journey to English, to be English fluent speakers, right? So we have today a lovely guest, and this guy has been, a friend of us, from some time, and today we have Fabio Cerpelloni. Cerpelloni is correct to say, or Cerpelloni?
Cerpelloni is the Italian pronunciation, so
okay,
that's
I
good.
go with that. Yeah, okay. So we have it today. You're here, okay, and we are so curious because you have some news. Huh? Is it true, my dear Fabio?
Yes, got some news. I've written a little book about how I learned English, basically, how I went from being a language learner to a language teacher. And I think it could help any learner, from any person who wants to learn another language.
Okay,
Not just English, not just English.
not
Yeah.
just English, not just
No.
English. Okay, well, to start this conversation, because we have some friends here, and maybe I suppose they also want to ask you some questions, I would like to go in, with some organization here, okay? I would like to ask you some questions. My first question is, what inspired you to write a book about language learning and creative writing, maybe, because some relation in this, and what do you hope readers will gain from reading it? So maybe to wrap it up would be like, if you were in front of one of your readers, what would you like to tell him or her? Okay.
Okay, sure. I was inspired by two books that I read, not about language learning. One book is this one, I've got it here. It's called Anything You Want, by an author called Derek Sivers. And in this little book, the author explains how he built a business and how he managed a big business. And he tells his stories, the mistakes that he made. And it's I really love the format of the book. So there's every little chapter tells a little story and sends a message. Okay. And I thought, wow, I can write a similar book about how I learned English. I can tell little stories about what I did to learn English. He wrote one for business people. I can write one for language learners. But this was just an idea that I had. And then I read another book by the same author, which is How to Live. And in this book, the author basically, in each chapter, he tells a story. Sorry, it doesn't tell a story. He tells you what's the best way to live. So one chapter tells you to live your life, the best way to live is to think super long term. So you should only think about the future. You should have long-term goals. Don't focus on the present, focus on the future. But then each chapter contradicts the next. So the next chapter will tell you, no, you shouldn't focus on the future. You should focus on the present moment. Yeah. And do everything because everything today, because the present moment is the only thing that you have. And this was to basically explain, to send the message that there's no one right way to live your life. There are many ways, and all these ways, there are 27 chapters in this one, all these ways are valid ways to live your life. So then I thought, okay, I can write a book on how to learn English, but in each chapter, I can contradict myself. And because learning English is not, learning a language in general is not, there's no one right way to learn a language. So I started writing how to learn English. Okay. But I didn't tell any stories. It was very boring. And then one day I was running and I thought, I know what book I can write. I can write a book like Anything You Want, where I tell stories about how to learn English, but using, the format of this book where I contradict myself all the time. So this is to send the message that learning a language, there's no one right way to learn a language, and you know this already. I'm sure that you all know this, but also to fight those false promises that language learners often get by watching videos on YouTube. For example, you might hear teachers and coaches or linguists say, don't study grammar, focus on communication. And that's true. I agree with that. But it's also true that you should focus on grammar and not communication, because this is what I did as well. So it's a way to send you the message that every piece of advice that you get, you should question it and apply it to your own unique situation, because YouTubers don't know you, they don't know your situation, they don't know how you like learning. And so you, for example, if you're a learner who everything you do is learning grammar, then yes, you should go out and have conversations. But if you want to maybe improve your accuracy, and all you're doing is just speaking, you never focus on what you're actually saying, you never study a grammar rule, then probably you should stop speaking and sit down with a book and learn how the language works.
One question. I'm sorry that I can interrupt you, but challenges, because you're saying this is like a good idea, how you came into this, organizing everything to put, your book here on the desk. Okay. But you know what? I suppose that you had some challenges that were more difficult to cope with, to deal with, rather than others, right? For example, in my case, I always have this, situation where I still make mistakes, and I don't want to do that, but I still do. So when that happens, I always try to, to listen to me back again and try to correct that. But I imagine that you also face some mistakes, right? So some mistakes, no, some challenges, let's say. Are they into the book? I mean, are they somehow expressed into the journey? Because it's like a journey that you did, right?
Yeah. I talk about struggles, and I talk about the very first month when I landed in London, which was when I actually started learning English. I talk about the biggest mistake I've ever made as a language learner, and I talk about my desire to sound like a native. So I think that everything I say, I think you can relate to that if you're learning English, but you can also apply it to, as I said, any language you want, because that's the title of the book. It's called Any Language You Want.
Exactly.
So yes, I talk about struggles. I talk about times when I was very motivated to learn, exams that I took, questions that I had in my mind when I was speaking English or when I was using English. I talk about mistakes, like grammar mistakes, and I talk about many things.
And this writing experience, that is the third question that I have here, the writing experience itself, do you think that made, such a difference in your learning process? Because the question is, how do you think creative writing can help people learn a new language more effectively, right? Yeah. Mhm.
Well, I think that if you're not writing, I think you're missing out on a big learning opportunity, because it's so nowadays it's so easy to write something and publish it, and I think you should write something. And writing this book was, I had a lot of fun writing this book, and it gave me also lots of opportunities to reflect on what I did. I think writing is an essential component. I'm not saying that, if you don't know what to write, that's another story. But I think that if you're a language learner, you should read, write, speak, and listen. Right? This is not anything new. So I would highly recommend writing. You can write on Medium. I'm on Medium, for example. It's a free blogging platform where you can publish your writing, and where people can read it, even though you're a non-native speaker and you might make mistakes. Maybe your written English is not perfect, but there are thousands of millions of people on that platform. It's called Medium.
Good.
And you can write about anything you want. There are a lot of language learners too.
And it's interactive. People can comment on your writing.
Yeah. You can also make money.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Well, people must read your articles in order for you to make money on that. But that's not the point. You're not doing that because you want to make money. But it's a way to connect and to, you don't have to post videos. You don't have to post reels, or it's not Instagram or Facebook. It's you publish your ideas, and some of you here are on Medium, I know. So that's a very good way to start.
Do you think everyone, all of us, any of us, could be able? Daniel says that I am a medium too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you think any of us here could become a writer one day if we want to? Or there is some skills that we need to develop in order to do that? Rita says, I don't know.
I think so. I wasn't born as a writer. And I'm not saying that, well, am I a writer now that I've written a book? I think I could call myself a writer. If you like running, for example, and you go running every week, like I do, can you call yourself a runner? I think so. Right? You don't need to have a qualification. You don't need to have a degree. Of course, you can improve your skills and you can develop your writing skills. And if you want to become a writer, like if you want to become a professional writer, of course, you need to develop your writing skills.
Like to win the race. If you're a runner, you can be a runner, but that does not need to win a race, a competition.
Exactly. There are different stages, there are different levels. You can be a professional runner, you can be an amateur runner, you can be a runner who goes running only at the weekends, but you're still a runner, right? And yes, I think anyone can become a writer. I think so. Actually, I'm sure about this.
Daniel, you have a question. Can you please ask the question, but you have to unmute yourself, okay?
Yes, for sure. So Fabio, I know that you have an editor, and maybe you could tell us a little bit about the role of your editor and how you could learn from the process. Yeah.
Okay. Thanks, Daniel. I hired an editor, writing coach editor. Her name is Trisha, and from Vagabond English, if you want to check her out. She helped me developing the stories. So her role was to get the most out of my stories. So making sure that my story was clear, that the details were there, because storytelling is all about showing, not telling. So you show things. You don't say, I was very motivated, for example. It's not that you don't say. It's better to say, I couldn't wait to go home and study English than I was very motivated to study English, because the idea of the idea that you can't wait to go home and study English immediately sends that message that you are very motivated. So you are showing by giving details, a specific detail. So Trisha helped me with this, finding the right details. Of course, fixing some sentences, the formatting of the book, the layout. Sometimes she said, here you can maybe use bullet points because it makes it more clear. The punctuation, I have problems with punctuation. So the full stop, where should it go? Should it go within the speech marks or outside? So little things like this. And yeah, and then general advice as well. Sometimes I rejected the advice, because this is something that I think you should do if you're learning English as well. If you're learning a language and you're constantly bombarded with advice on YouTube, on Instagram, online, you should reject some of the advice. And the same I did with the advice that I got from Trisha. But it's not, I mean, it's not that I said, Trisha, no, I don't agree with this. I just said, you have your own head, so you can think with your own head.
So there is no need for you to agree with everything she says, right? It's only like you take it or leave it, right?
Of course. Yes.
Can you share a little bit of the book? Can you read for us a little bit of the book? And people, you have to make questions, Can you read a little bit of the book?
Sure, let me open it. I'd like to read a passage from the introduction. Okay. Should I start?
Yes,
I cannot
please.
see you, so okay. All right, so this is a paragraph from the introduction, and it goes like this. I have heard some say, want to learn a language? Forget about learning grammar, speak instead. I agree. You'll never get fluent in a language if you never speak it. I've said this to my students many times. This is great advice. But is this great advice for you? If all you're doing to learn a language is completing grammar exercising, then yes, stop learning grammar, get out of your study room and start having conversations. However, if you can already communicate well but still make mistakes, then you should probably reject this advice. My Italian partner, Aloha, is a good example of a person who should study grammar. Aloha became an expert English speaker by working in Australia and New Zealand without ever opening a grammar book. She can understand TV series in English, communicate in English on the phone, and she can even make jokes when interacting with native English speakers. But Aloha still makes grammar mistakes, and she's aware of this. She often says, I know some of the things I say are grammatically wrong, but I don't know why they're wrong. Aloha shouldn't forget about studying grammar if she wants to become a better English speaker. Quite the opposite. She should sit down with a grammar book and figure out how English works. This could help her understand the nature of her language errors so she can fix them and communicate even better. Forget about speaking, study grammar instead might be better advice for her. The best advice for one learner might be the worst for another. And yeah, that's all.
Yes.
It's actually what I said before, yeah, but it's the written part.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think we all get the idea, what you say there, and all those stories. How many stories are there in the book?
18
stories.
chapters, yes.
18 chapters, and each chapter is like has an idea that you work on the idea, you make a conflict there, and then you continue with the next, it's a continuation, yeah. Just now, or it's completely separate.
Okay, every chapter tells, in every chapter I tell a little story, and by story I mean I tell about something that I did when I was a learner of English. And it might be something that I thought while reading a book. It might be moving to Australia. It might be being in a classroom with other people. So real stories.
Oh, I like that.
And each chapter ends with the same sentence. And the sentence is, this is how to learn a language. But then the next chapter tells you the opposite. So one chapter tells you, if you want to learn a language, you must take a language course, because how can you learn without a language course? How you can ask questions, you can have other people with you who have the same goals. And this is based on my story, because when I was in London, I took many language courses. But the next chapter tells you the opposite.
No, I understand now.
Okay.
Excellent.
And then it's up to you whether to decide, should I take a language course or should I do everything by myself? It depends on your situation.
What a great strategy to write a book, Great strategy. I have read something about storytelling, and they recommend that the conflict has to be in the perfect timing, and like this you say, like making the connection with the other, right? That's so good. I have Ula wanting to say something. Ula, my dear, can you ask, the question to Fabio?
Yes, Fabio, I wanted to know if you started writing in English straight away, or did you first collect your thoughts in Italian before you started writing in English?
Hi, Ula, and thank you. Do you mean for this book?
Yes, for this book.
No, I all in English, because to be honest, I've never written a lot in Italian. I don't need to. I just need to send emails in Italian and send text messages to my friends, which most of the times are vocal messages. So no, I started in English. Yeah.
Thank you.
Perfect. We have now Sadar, okay? Sadar, please ask him. Sadar, yeah. Come on, say something. Can you speak, Sadar?
Yes, ma'am, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Yeah.
Yeah. My name is Sarwar. You can call me Sarwar. I'm from Bangladesh, okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, I live in Dhaka city. Dhaka is capital city of Bangladesh. And I'm a Bengali people. My native language is Bengali. but English is the international language, so very, very demandable language. And when I will speak English fluently, then I will get a lot of opportunity, lot of power and facilities, and I can improve my job level, and I have searched the multinational level. So English definitely very, very important. So I have a question to you. Please, could you please let me know how will I speak English fluently?
Okay, the question of questions here. Thank you very much. Okay, what would you say, my dear? You only have 8 minutes to answer.
So the question is, how can I speak English fluently?
How can I speak? I have that question too.
Well, it depends on what you mean by fluency, because fluency is using the best, making the best of what you already know. That's what fluency is. So if you know 100 words, you can still be fluent using 100 words. So to speak fluently, you would need to use the English that you've already learned. And but if you want to sound, if you want to speak better English in terms of vocabulary, grammar, well, then you have to commit to learning. So, the usual things: reading, writing, speaking, listening, communicating, studying, making mistakes.
So there
Don't
is
be
no magic. There is
yeah, there's no magic, no
It's
magic
hard
pill.
work. Yeah. Thank
Exactly.
you very much. Now, please, Fabio, you know what? We need to know, Ula is saying, and I am curious too, when and where can we buy your book? That is one question. And also, please let us know if you are into any kind of new project so we can know where to find you and everything, okay? And after this, please send me a message telling me the information so I can put it inside when I record this to share it, okay?
Okay,
So
sure.
when and where? Yeah, you have 7 minutes.
Yes, when in June. I don't have a date, but in some time in June.
Yeah.
And it will be on Amazon.
Yeah.
So I'm self-publishing this book, and it will be on Amazon. It's going to be 10 euros.
Yeah.
And what the other question? Any projects? Yes, I'm opening a reading community, which is another way to say book club.
Yeah.
That lasts 10 weeks, because I love reading books. I love reading non-fiction books, and we're going to read. I mean, the plan is to read a book called "Ego is the Enemy" by Ryan Holiday. That's the author. And so this is a reading community where we read, we talk about the book, we meet online, and there are speaking and writing tasks that you can do, and you get my feedback. So yes, that's all.
Okay, so for now we have the book coming in June, okay? On Amazon, we can find it, okay? And you have a new project called Reading, you say?
Yeah, it's a reading community. It's a book club. It's a book club.
Like a book club, okay? So if we can find you, we can get into your, contact details that maybe you always share like a page, a site that you have, right?
Yeah, the reading community is, I've made a little page for this reading community on my website. If you go to fabiocerpelloni.com/community, it's all written there, and I'm opening this on the 22nd of May. So if you want to join, you
Okay.
would need to join before the
Okay.
22nd of May.
Okay, that's good. That's excellent. Okay,
Yeah.
so you have now 4 minutes. Just
Sure.
to say, just to say something to our friends here, all of us trying to develop our English skills, give us a word of motivation, maybe, because sometimes it gets hard,
I know. The best way, the best advice the best motivation I can give you would be to know why you're doing this. Because you're not just learning English. You're not just learning a language. You need to be clear about what this language will help you do. To me, it was becoming a teacher. I wanted to learn English because I wanted to become a teacher. So in front of me, I had that goal. And that's what motivated me. So becoming a teacher, working with people, helping people. Before, I used to do jobs that I hated. So finally, I realized that I could do a job that I was going to love. And I loved learning English because of this also. So I had a strong reason for learning. And if you don't have a strong reason, that's nothing. It's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. You just have to admit it. Maybe you don't like learning English, or you don't want to become a very proficient, advanced language English speaker, and it's fine. You just have to admit that to yourself. So I'm happy with my B1 level and let go of the rest. It doesn't matter if you don't speak like a native speaker or if you're not advanced.
Yeah, that's
so
right.
know what you want,
Mhm.
so you can keep coming back to it and find motivation, and be clear. Let go of what you don't want. That's
right.
my
That's right. Thank you very
advice.
much. I speak on the name of a lot of people here, because we have the people from the chat box, we have the people from the Canguro English Academy, we have maybe Daniel with your community as well.
Daniel, Ula, Hubert,
Yeah,
Rita,
a lot of people. Ellie, we
Sarwar,
can share this with the
Ellie, yes,
community there.
Rosie also.
All of these wonderful people, that somehow they are
Leon,
following
sorry,
you.
also Leon.
Yeah, they are following you, and they like what you're doing. So keep on doing it, and share whatever you want to start a new project, whatever, share with us, Somehow we're going to join you, on your way, on your journey to fluency. Not our journey to fluency. Okay. So thank
Thanks,
you
Kari.
all.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, all of you, and thank you, Fabio, for being here today. Okay.
Thank you for inviting
Have
me.
a nice week, all of you.
Thank you. Thank
You
you very
too.
much. And
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.